How is sand formed? To put it simply, sand comes from rocks slowly destroying and falling apart over millions of years. These rocks get so small from the elements that they become tiny little grains. This is not the only way sand can be formed, however. Subscribe if you want to find out more. Why do cardboard boxes have four flaps? It's really simple, actually. According to the Packing Corporation of America, the two extra flaps underneath the top two can provide extra protection and strength, preventing the box from breaking open easily. Now you know. Why do books start with a big letter? This big letter is called a lead-in. Lead-ins are used to guide the reader to where the real book starts, but most of the time the use of a lead-in is a style choice, an homage to older books. Don't you feel a little smarter now knowing why are humans the only ones to brush their teeth? This all comes down to one thing: our diet. Everything we eat nowadays, whether you realize it or not, is full of refined sugar and other bad things for our teeth. Our ancestors' diets were the complete opposite, very natural with whatever things you can find in nature. A lot of fruits can actually clean your teeth, like apples. To remedy the problems we created for ourselves, we invented toothpaste and toothbrushes to help clean our teeth. Now you know. Why do we sound so bad when we listen to ourselves talking? It's not always necessarily bad, but it can be different. This can happen because when you are just talking normally and you can hear yourself, your voice is a lot more enveloping and deeper than other people might hear it, since it's like vibrating through your skull and everything. The way you hear yourself through a microphone is probably the way people hear you, as long as the microphone is at least decent. Spot the difference between these two sentences. Do you see it? Well, the right doesn't actually have an apostrophe. It's called a prime, and it's used pretty differently to an apostrophe or single quote. A prime is commonly used to describe a unit and used in other fields such as music to differentiate notes in different octaves. An apostrophe is used to replace two or more letters such as with cannot and can't. Cool, but can you? Did you know that some plants can actually make sound? It's just at a frequency so high you can't even hear it. For example, tomatoes scream when you cut their stems. Now, how do plants even communicate? There are three ways they can communicate: volatile, below ground, and acoustic. With below ground communication, they can use chemical cues. A good example is peas. When they're in distress, they send chemical messages with their roots to alert other nearby peas. Though, any pea who isn't a part of their root system wouldn't be alerted. Isn't that cool? How did emojis come to be? The first form of emojis originate from chat rooms. You may know these as emoticons. They were different characters placed to resemble a face, such as colon dash closing bracket. A Japanese designer called Shigetaka Kurita ended up creating the first real emoji images, released for phones and pagers back in 1999. Starting in 2007, Google took notice of these emojis and asked the Unicode Technical Committee to standardize emojis everywhere. They accepted, and today, emojis are used all over the world on almost any device, and they're updated on a yearly basis by the Unicode Technical Committee. How do batteries work? In a battery, there are three main parts on the inside: the cathode, positive, the anode, negative, and the electrolyte. The electrolyte acts as a bridge for the electrons, the electricity, to move from side to side. Whenever it does this, it releases electricity through the metal ends. How do light bulbs work? The most common form of light bulbs, incandescent, turns electricity into light by putting so much electricity in a wire, called a filament, that it starts to illuminate, light up. This creates heat as a byproduct. How do sponges work? Modern kitchen sponges are created with intricate holes and pores that hold in the water when the sponge comes in contact with it. and when squeezed, the holes close and the water falls out. Pretty simple. How to take care of your phone battery. As a battery is recharged and discharged, it loses some of its full capacity. As time goes on, this makes your phone's battery worse and worse. There's no way to stop this, but there are ways to delay it. A great one is to make sure the phone doesn't die and that it doesn't go over 80 or 85%. Your phone can now last longer because Why do leap years exist? A leap year is when we add one extra day, February 29th, to the calendar every 4 years. We do this because not every year is exactly 365 days. It's actually 365 days and a quarter. Because of this, our clocks end up being a little bit off. To make sure this doesn't add up too high to the point where we're years off the real time, we decided to make a leap day. So we get readjusted to the correct time every 4 years. This video is actually posted on a leap day. Did you know that cardboard can be recycled at least 7 times? What happens to the things we recycle? Recycling services vary, but one of the ways that things get recycled is, after collection, they first get sent to a material recovery facility to be first separated and sorted into different materials, as well as removing things that shouldn't be recycled. These different materials are then sent to a recycling facility. Game theory. No, not the YouTube channel, the science of strategy. Game theory is surprisingly interesting. It's an umbrella term for logic decision making in living beings as well as computers. Game theory is often used in computer simulations or tests involving real people to see how they respond to different situations or how competition affects their decision making. Good thing now you know. Why do so many companies simplify their logos? It essentially comes down to one thing: the internet. The internet and the web in general not only created the minimalist trend, but it also accommodated for it, as people often see your logo when it's small, like on a phone screen, and it being simple makes it easily recognizable. Click the video below to learn more about